Hey guys, welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. Yes, I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian. Today we're going to talk about February and like what an incredible month this is going to be. Not since 1962 have we seen so many planets lined up together in the sign of Aquarius. And so think about like the ethos of 1962 for one. We'll be looking at that 1962 chart as well, just for fun. But the idea is think about, new beginnings, hope, rebellion, cataclysmic change, clashes of generations and ideologies, all of that. And, also think about the idea of what Aquarius is, right? It's about community and belonging, connection. It's also about solitude and being different, finding individuality in collectivity. So we're going to take a look at that. If there's a theme song, well, we'll get to the theme song. I'm going to try singing for you today. You're going to laugh at my bad singing, but anyway, I'll give it a go. So we're going to talk about the crazy ass month that hasn't been replicated in terms of intensity of planets in one sign since 1962. We're going to talk about Venus coming into Aquarius, where she'll be for 3 weeks. Also meeting up with Saturn. We're also going to talk about the first of a 3-part series of squares between Mars and Saturn. And we're waiting for that. Mars-Uranus squaring Saturn. In this case, it's a Saturn. It's really particularly the Saturnian energy blended directly with Mars squaring Saturn. That's going to be really intense. So we'll talk about that too. And lastly, I also want to mention that Mercury's retrograde as of the 30th, which is the day I'm recording this. It's Saturday, January 30th. And I'm saying, okay, we're going to record something on the day that Mercury goes retrograde, stations to retrograde, like around 26 degrees of Aquarius in my first house. Let's see if I pull this off or something goes wrong with recording on the stationary retrograde day. All right, so I'm going to share the charts with you. But before I do, let me just pontificate a bit on some themes that I think are appropriate given what's going on. So first of all, the idea that Venus is coming into Aquarius is nothing new, right? Venus goes into Aquarius once every year. And so she dawns on a different energetic. She becomes more cerebral a bit because it's an air sign, a little bit more concerned with collectives, communities, and belonging, prioritizing community and belonging, and groups of people as a priority for how she would like to see a little bit of that Venusian love. Now, there is a song from the 60s that I really used to love. Maybe it was the 70s, but as a child, I remember it. It was the Coke song. And it had a bunch of people of different ethnicities and colors all in a circle, sipping Coke, maybe holding hands. And the song was, it was 1971. I did some research. It came out in 71. I like to sing the world a song in perfect harmony, like apple trees and honeybees and snow white turtle doves. Anyway, the gist was like this harmony, peace, and love idealism, because Aquarian has a bit of that energy of the idealist and the humanitarian. And yes, there's change and there's eclecticism and invention and technology with Aquarius, but there's also this, that vibe. So Venus goes in there and she's attempting to rile up a little bit of that spirit of we are one and all is possible. And let's all get along. Yeah, let's all get along in this crazy world, post-pandemic and pre-pandemic and during a pandemic. So we got that vibe coming on February 1st when she slips into Aquarius. Now, it's not just any old Venus in Aquarius, is it? She's joining a stellium of planets. Only Mars and the traditional planets is not hanging out in Aquarius is so really, really rare, guys. And, 1962, I'm going to look at that chart with you just to take a peek of what it looked like when I pulled the chart up. But I would say to you, because I'm kind of looking at it now on my screen, with Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Sun, and Athena, the asteroid of wisdom and knowledge, strategy, and Mercury lined up in there. It's an assembly, it's a council, it's a meeting, and they're all meeting with the sun. And what is the sun? The sun is the solar divine intelligence. It is like the king of the whole story. And they're in consultation and they're all dying and being reborn as well. So they're coming into like a death and rebirth, a renewal time, so Saturn, on February 1st is literally, at 5 degrees of Aquarius under the beams of the sun at 13. So in other words, he is not visible in the sky. Jupiter is at 10 degrees. The sun is at 13, having gone already through the combustion, and then the cazimi. So both Saturn and Jupiter have been reborn. Okay, so they both went into the heart of the sun already. Jupiter on the 28th of January, and I'm not remembering when, but maybe the 23rd or 4th for Saturn. So they've gone into the heart of the sun and they were dying there. They were dying and now they're being reborn. So they're freshly hatched, but not yet visible. but they consulted with the sun, and they're being reborn as morning planet. So they've been in the night sky, right? We all looked up and saw Jupiter and Saturn in the night sky on December 21st. Now they're being reborn as evening stars, or coming into view in the morning skies. So one of the other things to say about this rebirth is that they don't just get reborn, they get new instructions, right? They're on a divine mission with a new plan, a new instruction, a new, I don't know, consult with it, the intellectual divine mind, with divine mind in our, so something good is trying to be happening here, because basically there's this huge amount of rebirth. And now Venus is next, because she's moving faster and faster and going to catch up to the sun. It's in March. I don't have the Kazemi date in my mind, but it's in March that she'll come into maybe the third week into the heart of the sun, and then she will be reborn as well. So everybody's getting a rebirth here. This is kind of exciting, and she will come into that heart of the sun and complete the journey of all of these rebirths that have been going on. And Mercury already had his rebirth as well. So the story kind of speaks to me, honestly, of, and Venus is going to be reborn as an evening star. She has been the morning star for quite a while. So now she'll be in her demure, Grace Kelly, soft, more gentle, more seductive, persuasive version of her. If you think about Venus as conflict, as the opposite of conflict, harmony, peace, negotiations, mediation, cooperation, and she's been morning star, full of chutzpah and bold badassness for the last 10 months or so. That's why you don't have agreements, like amongst politicians and parties, and why you have discord in the collective. So her coming into the evening star, less of the warrior Venus, more of the conciliatory, peacemaking Venus, is good for the collective. So we're waiting for that in March. Yay. Okay, so that's some general thoughts I have about that stellium of planets, the assembly, I think, the assembly or the council, and other ways for putting it, in the sky. And Venus will come into contact with Saturn very early in the month. That can literally outpicture as the death of an influential, well-known female figure. It can also outpicture as other things, because Saturn is constraint and discipline and determination and rigidity and stoicism, among other things. And then when Venus gets there and they work together, Venus and Saturn in a love story, in synastry, is good. Venus and Saturn in a relationship means you'll endure. It's enduring love. So what kind of love, beauty, art, kindness maybe can be more solidified as something enduring for the collective? I'm not sure what the answer is. Venus rules money. She is the goddess of money, and Saturn is restraint. So I wouldn't be surprised if Venus going into the proximity to Saturn doesn't lead to a stock market correction. Okay, so we'll get to that too. Do I know for sure that's going to happen? Well, maybe, because Volcanus is sitting at 0.5 degrees. Volcanus, like a volcanic eruption of Leo, right across from 5 degrees of Saturn and 0 degrees of Venus as I speak. So yeah, Venus is going to also be riling up that volcanic energy. So volcanic correction in the markets, I would imagine we're in a stock market bubble, at least in the North American markets. Okay. Anything else? No, we're going to look at the chart together. Now I'm going to do all signs. So before I do, you guys know a few things about me. Number one, say always look at your ascendant first, because it's most accurate. Your rising sign. Go to astro.com, plug in your date of birth, your time. You'll need your time. Look at the rising sign or the ascendant sign. That's more important. If you're born at night and the sky's below, the sun is below the horizon line, that's the ascendant, and the descendant, the horizon of the sunrise and sunset, then you're a night baby. Then if you're a night baby, you're moon. You can listen to your moon predictions with these recordings as if it was your sun sign, and also listen to your sun sign if you're a day baby. So there, sun, moon, and ascendant. Now, before I go on, check below in my description blocks. Got a lot of stuff happening. I've got this still very apt for the year ahead. All signs reports, $14.95 for your particular sign. Buy the bundle of all of them for $39. That's a deal. It's going to give you a whole scope or view of 2021. Each video is an hour long, very particular to your rising sign, or of course you can buy your sun and moon sign as well. And also check below for sales. I got eclipse readings still ongoing, and the year ahead readings on sale as well. Just a personal one-on-one with me, of course. All right, so let's open up the chart share. Let me just squint here. I don't have my glasses on. I probably should. Share screen. And there we go. So here's the chart. on the day of my recording. There's Venus at 0 Aquarius. I've set it for February 1st, the day she moves in to the sign of Aquarius. So you see what I'm talking about, right? That's an incredible stellium. And I will be talking about, when I do the all signs, I really want to focus on the, I don't know, I think I might focus on the February 17th Saturn square Uranus Mars combination, because that's going to play out throughout 2021. Also, twice more. And I can think whatever it starts off as could be important for each of us in our sign. So stay tuned for that. So let's go again into the story just for a bit. February is a busy month. I probably were going to miss something. I really didn't feel like I wanted to talk about everything in February. Honestly, it's be an hour and a half video. I wanted to talk about what jumped out at me and what I think is important. Yes, we have, the moons of February. Those are separate videos. I'm not going to go into those in the, this is more the other planets and transits besides the moon. Stay tuned for those separate videos on the moons. Okay, so let's get going. So here's Venus. She's at 0 degrees on February 1st. She's just starting out, initiating that house. And you can see Volcanus is at 1 degree. That's a trans-Neptunian. Some people don't use it. I've seen it as a timing marker for explosive action when it touches an inner planet like Venus, or she connects with him across the way. Explosive events, unexpected events, radical, disruptive, like a volcano exploding. Volcanus is also the foresmith of the gods, made the thunderbolts for Zeus, right? What could thunderbolt if something could happen around the time she comes into direct opposition? Let's take a peek at that together. Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to 1962. For some of us geeks, it's worth doing. Let's go back. I want to see exactly what that sky looked like in 1962. When the stellium, I was born in 62, guys. Like, I totally get this, right? It's like, so my vibe. So I was in utero, I think, during the time this was happening. Sorry, it's going to take a bit of time. Let's just let that time lord, I'm doing my time lord. Or let's do the time warp again. Like, just love turning time back like that. I just like, so excited. I feel like so powerful. I went 1 year past. Okay, so here's 1962. There we go. Now I've set this for 0 Aries, by the way. So this is like just to anchor Aries on the eastern horizon. But look, there they are, the whole darn schmozzle of planets gathered together. And like 1962, Mars was not involved. He was off doing his own thing. So in this case, he's an aversion to these planets, not really able to correspond with them. So he was off duty in the stellium, but he wasn't particularly in February anyway involved, but he would have gone in. Like, if you look at Mars at 29 degrees, I've set this for February 1st, 62. He joined that stellium. He joined in with them, where this time he's squaring from Taurus. So Mars is causing friction and difficulty to that stellium. And he will continue to do that this year as he keeps going back and squaring and then opposing and squaring Saturn during 2021. All right, when he goes through his signs like Leo, etc., where he's opposing Saturn. So Mars is a bit of a troublemaker and a trigger during 2021, disrupting things. Also, the stellium back then had the south node involved in the stellium itself, not so today. So there was a quality of release, surrender, and letting go of all that stuff in Aquarius during that particular time. The United States USA chart is a Sagittarius rising with a Sibley chart, meaning that back in 1962 and as well as today, this is all happening in the United States third house, which can be, trips, travel, short trips and travel, and no one can travel, right? There's a constriction in COVID land. In 1962, I don't think there was that, but it's also like opposite the house of foreign lands, for instance. Yeah, like that. It's also, there was a Cold War on then, and there was also a lot of tension, probably 1962 with civil issues and race riots and stuff. I only bring that up because, the third house is kind of like the neighborhood of the chart, but I always look at a national chart, and it seems to represent local communities. Like, so, neighborhoods, community stuff. So a lot of weird energy going on both times in the third house of the United States, or a lot of intensity in the third house, but the nodes were involved. So let's go back to the current time frame. And I might just do this manually. And then rather than time lord us through, as I just did, let me go back and do a manual reset to February 2021, the year of our Lordess. Okay, so See, there's Mars. Yeah. He's like, actually, they are squaring him as his superior. So they're actually applying a square to him, but there's still a square action. All right. So let's talk. He's like looking over his shoulder at them. So let's talk about some of the key pieces. Let's talk about what happens when Venus comes into contact with not a year. I'm so sorry, guys. This is what happens on the day that Mercury goes retrograde. I'm spacier than I normally am. Venus will hit Saturn. Well, first of all, before she hits Saturn, look, there's Volcanus. Volcanus hardly moves. He's really slow, but he's sitting there and she's going to hit him. Well, she's in a power pack stellium with Pluto on her back, the god of death and rebirth. And by the way, when Venus hit Pluto, a very famous a superstar diva of some sort passed away. I can't remember who it was, but that was just a week ago. And, technically I was going to say to the collective, Capricorn rules people of color, okay, people with darker skin. And it's the god of death, and that's a diva, Venus. So someone did pass during the transit of Venus to Pluto. And sometimes astrology is very literal. And another moniker for the Grim Reaper and death and stuff is when she comes into contact with Saturn. So maybe someone else will also, a female powerhouse, will pass away. Now, Volcanus is going to happen on February 2nd. What eruptive, sudden, unexpected thing could happen vis-a-vis this opposition? And since Leo is where Volcanus is, and Leo can mean the leader or, the ruler, as derived by the sun and all of that. The sun is actually quite in the stellium too. What possible eruption or cataclysmic, unexpected volcanic thing may happen regarding some world leader around the second, maybe the first, second, third. Then we watch her coming into proximity to Saturn, and there she goes into almost perfect, but not quite. February the 5th, she's applying to Saturn really, really close by minutes, and at the 5th degree. Sitting at the 5th degree, well, not quite, but there's Uranus still squaring from degree 6. So unexpected upheaval, disruption, bolts of unpredictable energy coming from Taurus is currency, money markets, currency, crypto, I don't know, crypto recrashing. But because she does rule money, Saturn is constraint. This definitely could be like a market correction, guys, around February 5th, just the equity markets alone. And then it can also be on February 5th or 6th, because there she is on the 6th of February outside the other side, is also the death of a well-known Saturnian feminine figure. I don't know, I say Saturnian, but it could also just be a feminine figure, and Saturn applies constraint, restriction, and maybe Lord of time, karma, and death, kind of the Grim Reaper sometimes. So yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a big news story about an untimely death of a female that was unexpected because of the Iranian implication. Not like an elderly woman dying in her own time, but an unexpected death. I hope it's not by violence. And I only say that because of Mars being still active and somewhat engaged, not quite, but still, co-present with Uranus. And there's that black moon Lilith. Like, could there be a feminine figure who's quite ardent, feminist, outgoing, rebellious against the patriarchy, doing her own thing, rebel, maverick, feminine figure who takes a fall? Now, I mean, one example in US politics, there's a lot of controversy going on about one of their congresswomen or senators, I can't remember what she is, something green, who's full on QAnon. And don't forget, I'm in Canada. This is not an endorsement or anything about United States politics. I'm a Canadian, but I'm saying she could take a hard fall because she's been so out there and so rebellious. That's very much a Black Moon Lilith archetype, and Saturn is clamping down on her. Okay, or a death of a political figure, or any woman, but it looks like it's pretty intense, with all that energy of Mars and Uranus involved, squaring that moment in time. Yeah, okay, let's continue. So then she comes trundling along, good old Venus, and then she's moving along, doing her thing. Find it interesting that at this point in the story, she's going to oppose the goddess of, she already did. Never mind. She did oppose the goddess of health and hygiene, by the way. And, sometimes astrology is so ridiculously literal. Let me put that back again. Let's go back to when she opposes hygiene goddess. Yes, masks, hand washing, sanitizing. She's been an interesting goddess to watch in this pandemic. At 6 degrees and Hygeia at 7. Okay, so she's engaging Hygeia on February 6th. That could be a story of a fall of a female who was opposed to hygiene. So the green story is like she had a big meeting on Facebook Live and press wasn't allowed to go in, but everybody was maskless in this small enclosed space. The air we share is what can cause us to be ill. Okay. Saturn in Aquarius is the sign of air, and fear is Saturn, and the air we share is what the pandemic does to cause people to get sick. So maybe it's all about her in one way. And it's other women like her. Obviously, the whole chart isn't revolving around one US story, but I'm giving you an example of how it can look. Let's continue and talk about the next big thing. It is going to be when the Saturn sitting up here, right, doing his little dance is really applied perfectly to Uranus, with Mars kind of like not really engaged directly, but still co-present with Uranus. So Mars is rebellion, soldiers, militia, police, athletes, anger, conflict, disagreement, battles, all that kind of stuff. And there's Uranus kind of disrupting things, always wants to disrupt the status quo and wants to change the way it is, almost like change for change's sake sometimes. And you can see Saturn's getting ready to perfect, a superior square to Uranus. Now, Saturn's strong. He's in Aquarius. Guy's got like superpowers right now in terms of he's owning his sign, and Jupiter's taking orders and trying to apply some beneficence to whatever Saturn wants him to do as the Santa Claus good luck guy of the zodiac. So there's some good energy trying to happen here, especially also Venus and Jupiter co-present together and getting ready to connect. So that energy up here is pressuring what looks like a rebellion hothouse down here. Also the markets that are turbulent, if that happens, currency and money and food resources. And by the way, Taurus, food supply chain disruption. But let's see what happens as this gets a little closer. Okay, there we go. So getting perfect on February 7th, right? There's that good old Saturn at 6 degrees and 5 minutes. And then Uranus is at 6 degrees and 59. So start to feel the heat of that on February the 7th. I think it's perfecting on the 17th, but I'm not sure. My memory, we're feeling the heat. We're feeling the heat. We're getting there. Let's go to the 17th. Yeah. So on the 17th, we have Saturn at 7:14 and 7:14. So it is so between the 6th and the 17th, we start to feel this increasing tension between the status quo, the day order of the day, maybe bureaucracy, governments, and systems of also technology, by the way. Uranus is a technology, Aquarius is Uranus's modern rulership. There's a reception there. Saturn is in the house that Uranus owns in the modern system, and this is his own dignity house in the ancient tradition. So there is an affiliation of energy. And then maybe there's a technological breakthrough and a big announcement about, boom, we have a great new technology that we're just going to present to the world. Maybe those UFO aliens do finally make contact with us, and we're all like pivoting away from the woes of our lives in this pandemic. So something exciting maybe even could happen around that time. I'm not going to make it a horror story. It could be a fun story. I'm just going to look positively at it. So, Uranus definitely is stirring up. Saturn is definitely stirring up Uranus, right? And Uranus is sitting with the moon, like literally on February 17th. And the moon is going to amplify that even further and shed its light even further on the story of whatever this thing is that's trying to happen. Yeah, this is pretty cool, actually. And that moon is a Taurian moon at the time. So it's a very fixed and stable and wants to look at nurturance and safety and comfort, question marks, of Taurus nature. But Uranus is disruptive for sure. But the moon is, a story, part of the story on the day of the 17th. Okay, well, I'm just going to stop with that thought. I'm not too sure what else I need to say. What else catches my eye in the sky at the time? Yeah, that's about it. So we see that that's a big day. So look, I would say, February 17th is the day, but certainly starting on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, we've been to feel it building. And maybe, February 11th onward, it's engaged. Now, at the same time, Mercury has been deciding to go retrograde as of the 30th, right, of the month of January. And as he goes retrograde, I find it's quite magical. People misunderstand it. Yes, you can have your computer break down or a trip is canceled. No problem. I get it. But yes, And on the other hand, if you are attentive to synchronicity, serendipity, your dreams at night, he acts like a messenger of the gods. So tune in between the 30th of January and February the 21st when he goes direct. So he starts off retrograding at, I think, 26 degrees of Aquarius. And so he starts off his retrograde motion on the 30th back here. And then he's going back, and he stations at 11 degrees on the 21st. So let's look at that station to go forward. So the first 3 weeks of February are retrograde, Mercury retrograde. And then, yes, stationing on the 21st at 11 degrees of Aquarius. At the time he does go stationary to pop forward, if there's any planet that he engages that is close to 11, we would pay attention to it, right? And see what it's doing. Ideally a planet, but sometimes an angle can work as well. And in your own chart, it's good to know, where does this Aquarius fall, right? Like, is it a first house thing like me? Is it a 10th house career thing that you're going back retrogradation to look at things new, to redo something, to pause, to finish up an old thing that you were working on, so etc. So for me, it's about my identity in some way. What do I want to go back and do again? I think it's going to be weaning back off wine, because as you guys know, I cut the wine out of my life, but I've been cheating a lot in the last 2 or 3 weeks because I'm in Vancouver and I don't know, it's rainy and gloomy and dreary. I need to, like, what do you call those lights? I need one of those lights that makes you feel like everything's wonderful, like a broad spectrum sunlight lamp. I think I have seasonal affective disorder in Vancouver. And in Montreal, I have the sun shining in my window seat. So it's a big story difference. Okay, so anyway, if you have a planet at 11 degrees Aquarius, this is a big deal for you. 11 degrees plus or minus 3 degrees on either side. This is going to be a bit of a pop in your life of some new direction that Mercury will bring you into alignment with regarding whatever the house that Mercury falls in represents in your chart. I'm not too sure, but I'm going to bring it up. You know, this is still the Black Moon Lilith math point in the chart, not a body, but a mathematical point. You know, Mercury stationing on this within a degree, like, it could actually be about going back over a rebellion against the system, patriarchal energies that gets reignited or has some new messaging or new direction or new like a movement with more power again. Like if there's a rebellious movement that's kicking up a storm, maybe it kicks off again. Not always a good thing when Mercury stations, right? It doesn't mean he's neutral. He's literally like the gender neutral planet. He's neither masculine or feminine, but he also is kind of neutral. And he's a trickster god too. So he's just as mischievous as he is a good guy. So I don't know, stationing at 11, triggering Black Moon Lilith near Uranus could be an uprising of some sort of rebellious energy in the collective, like, yeah, protests, riots, and stuff like that. All right. 8, as my daughter says, 8. That's about the lay of the land. Yes, there are other things happening. I don't want this video to go on forever. That's what I think matters right now, is those things that we talked about. Venus is in the sign of Aquarius in the month of February, and that will try to want to bring the world in perfect harmony, you know, all that stuff. And we also get that maybe death of a female figure or some kind of change or market correction around February 5th, 6th, and 7th with Venus connecting to Saturn. We also see that Saturn and Uranus act up on perfecting on the 17th, but certainly can look at that as a story that's in play probably February 11th to February 20th. And what is it going to be? A new technology, a breakthrough idea, UFO on the White House lawn, new currency directions, new food production stuff. You know, I'm kind of encouraged because Saturn is so strong and healthy in his home sign, and there's reception because he's in the sign. He's in the house that Uranus owns in the modern rulership system. So I do think they're going to try to work together for good. And I don't really feel as scared by this as I maybe should be. I'm more worried when Mars is in Leo opposing Saturn in the summertime, you know, in Leo season, really, because that could look like some hardcore friction, okay, of some sort. And of course, Uranus is still never going to not be in the game because Uranus at 7 degrees of Taurus, and with Saturn never making it past the 14th degree of Aquarius this year, then going back to the lower degrees. Uranus is in the mix, you know, all through 2021, guys. There's no doubt about it. Let me just check Saturn's state transit chart again. Yeah, so he makes it to the 13th degree of Aquarius, 13th degree. And so May 23rd, Saturn stations at 13 Aquarius, and then he's trundling all the way back down to the 6th degree in October. So, you know, and this Uranus is engaging in the year's story. So, you know, Uranus and Saturn are not good bedfellows because it's a mythology, right? Come on. I mean, Saturn and his father didn't get along at all. Uranus or Uranus, whatever you want to call him, was really, really deposed by Saturn. He's the god of the Titans, and Saturn is the god of the god of both gods of the Titans. Okay, the Olympians came after. That's Zeus right here, but this father-son duo really didn't like each other, and Saturn deposed his dad. So what does it mean? It means, well, hello, this is not a nice alliance in general, even though there's reception between the houses. So Saturn is trying to get his way in dignity with a stellium of planets, and he's got new mission instructions from being in the heart of the sun as he's gotten his new lease on life. And so, you know, you can see by February 21st, the sun is already in Pisces, right? But this has been a journey then in the first 3 weeks where these planets are really waking up, being initiated. They're invisible, then they're not invisible. You know, visibility matters. I don't have my chart in front of me. I think it's February 18th that Saturn is visible, but the idea is you can actually look and see. So 15 degrees from the sun, you're usually not able to see them. So on the 21st of February, Jupiter and his bounty and blessings and goodness is just becoming visible. So yeah, and Saturn is visible. Saturn must be visible earlier in the month. Let's go take a look. When does Saturn get out from underneath the beams of the sun so we can see him better? That's a good question, Lori. May as well figure it out. So there he is at 6, and that's 23. What is that? Come on, someone do the math. 16, 17, 19, 20. Yeah, so around there. So sometime in like around February 11th or so, Saturn's becoming visible depending on your latitude. And a little bit later on, around the 21st, 22nd, I think Jupiter, depending on where you live, will begin to be visible. So there's a delay in the gifts of Saturn and Jupiter until the mid to third week of February. Invisible planets don't have much power. They're quite weak. But, you know, they just got reborn. You ever see a chick, you know, or like a butterfly with sticky wings, right? Or a little chickadee who's still, you know, kind of half, or a little mouse that hasn't really opened its eyes yet, like newborns, right? So newborn planets are really not quite strong enough to really do much yet, but things turn around, and then Jupiter is outside the beams of that sun and doing good things for us, like Santa Claus tends to do. Yeah, so definitely around the 18th. Yeah, there we go. Begin to see him in the sky again. I also want to say, you know, Pluto's lingering in the aftermath over here in the behind the scenes, waiting to get out of here in about 3 years. And so one of the interesting parts about, you know, Pluto's still in Capricorn, where he has been since 2007 December, and initiated the whole subprime loan scandal and the collapsing markets and the mini depression recession that we had in 2008 and 9, and has been causing trouble in establishment, trying to rebirth something in the old status quo, especially the capital consumer free market model that Capricorn has, or the patriarchal model of money and wealth that has existed. And, you know, we all know now, you know, 6 people in the world have more money than, you know, more than 60% of us or something. It's just, you know, that's coming to an end. Like that pattern is ending, guys. The whole idea, let's restore the middle class. Let's not restore the middle class. Why do we want a middle class? Why don't we all just be one class, you know? Pluto, 248 years around the zodiac, is trying to revolutionize the statuses of our society and find a new way when it comes to material resources and the power structures that be. So I keep thinking about the fact that, you know, during this year, Saturn in October, for instance, goes back to 6 degrees, and Pluto's, you know, within 10 degrees behind him. Saturn is still, you know, connected to that Pluto energy. You know, Pluto is not gone away by any means. And I know Pluto is one of his sons. So this underpinning of everything is this kind of this urgent, you know, Plutonian underworld mafia don boss guy wanting to revolutionize the status quo. Or to Pluto would be more like totally transform the way society might, and the money system and the fairness system and the collective caste system works. Is a caste system. The middle class, I tell you, they hate to say I'm an upper middle class person. I'm a middle class person. I'm a lower class person. I'm a white collar. I'm a blue collar. I wonder, these things are going to fall away by 2024. So just saying. All right. That sounded like a little bit of a rant, didn't it? Okay, let's go do the all signs next. So I think what I want to do for all signs is focus, I think, because I didn't really think about this beforehand, on this this energy of February 17th, where we get that Saturn and Uranus square. So we're going to go, and don't forget, all signs, do your sun sign, moon sign, and or rising sign. Rising is always the best. To do that, I'm going to have to unhook the zodiac from pinning it to the Aries. So give me a sec while I change the settings. And thanks for your patience. Let's reset. Out of 0 Aries for sure. Just move it to whole sign. One of the things you can do is, depending on where you live on the planet, when an event happens like a transit, what is the rising sign in the place you live? That will give you a flavor also of how the event may play out for you if you're looking for the precise time. So now I've got us on February 18th, and I want to move us to February 17th. I like that Jupiter becomes visible a day after this this connection between Saturn and Uranus. I really do. Okay, so just ignore this for a minute and I will fix something. Yep, and we're going to go to the hours to get an Aries rising. I know that some people like to mix it up and give Pisces first and stuff. Maybe I'll start doing that, but I think most people are expecting it to be in order and they get confused when they're listening and it's somehow all not in order. Oh, sorry guys, it's going too fast. Sometimes time just flies away on me like this, just flies away, and I have no power to control it. Oh, all right, sorry. Yes, I will get us an Aries on the ascendant in the next century without overshooting the mark. Coming up, Aries, come on. Now, don't forget, we're talking about February 17th. However, don't look at my chart. The idea is this is an event that's taking place directly, precisely on the 17th. That's not the important part. Why don't we just say this starts up around February the 14th or so, and it ends maybe February the 19th or so. So this is the time in your life as an Aries, or then Taurus, I'll talk about all of you, that this kind of energy is alive in the chart. And what is it doing and inciting? And I want you to remember this is going to take place over a year. All right. So it's not going to finish till the end of the year. It's the first of 3 such events. I just want you to be aware of what's being initiated for you, a major area of change. So let's start. Aries, sun, moon, and ascendant. This is going to be an energetic push-pull and change energy between things to do with your house of belonging, where Saturn sits, the groups you belong to, the tribes that are yours, your collectives of, community, friends who benefit you, but also your own hopes, dreams, and wishes, as well as a house of great financial gain from the career path that we choose. So this energy is going to be activated in that February timeframe that I mentioned, directly on the 17th, but a few days before and after. And this is going to be also being activated by disruptive, unpredictable change energy here in your second house of self-worth, self-possession, and earnings and money. And you could have, Aries, a change of the way you make money, a rather dramatic change that in 2021 is going to open for you. If you always had an hourly wage or a salary as your earnings, Uranus is disrupting that. No more. Let's find another method of safety, security, money, resources to come into your life. All right. You may divest of possessions over 21 because Uranus is disrupting the house of that which I possess. And you're going to also be getting some of that Saturnian layer, where Saturn is a good guy here. He's in dignity as best as he can be a good guy, trying to bring some strength of determination, discipline, hard work, practical, and, realistic energy to the money story. And with the disruption from Uranus, it may not just be disruption, I've seen Uranus look like the god of the internet in my clients' charts over and over again. So in what way does the internet serve you in a way that you may not have harnessed before? Or this is social media clubs too. I might just join Clubhouse. I'm an Aries, right? Sun, moon. So, you know, will Clubhouse be an amazing changing of my revenue stream because I'm early adopting a new app, a social media app that I think will be the next big thing and knock out Zoom and everybody, I mean, knock out Facebook and everybody else. Why? Because it's audio, it's not video, and people are burned out on Zoom. And it's a different vibe when you're only talking with people in virtual rooms. So anyway, just saying. So bit disruption, but over 21, all of you Aries, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants are going to look at new income strategies, new ways of being resourceful around your possessions, around your money story. And this is the first hit, the first redirection around February 17th. Also, just like really weird ways it could play out is somebody in your social circles, maybe social media circles or belonging, gives you an opportunity to speak, because the second house is the house of the voice on the internet, a podcast, a show, a chance to speak, self-express yourself with your voice. And it has a very big turning point for you. Like, like some of us Aries might just, oh my God, we just got invited to speak with Ariana Huffington on a panel about, some famous person asked us to talk. Who knows, who knows? All right, let's keep going. I'm making it simple to giving you a little tip about what's happening now in February will be a theme of 2021. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Guess what? You guys are going to have a really lovely revolutionary new beginning in the career zone of your chart in 2021. Now, there's been an inauguration, you Taurian Sun, Moon, and Ascendants, because of this assembly of planets in your 10th house that, is pretty special. And so this is like the high noon of the chart energy. Technically, it's like your action in the world, how you are seen by others as expressing your, career is usually how we say it in modern days. But, the thing that you do in the world, that the world recognizes you for. And, just a job. No, it's more like your career, your purpose, your directionality. I also want to say that because this is a Saturnian energy up here, you're going to be disciplined, focused, and hardworking. And now if you're a student, for instance, and you're listening and you're a high school or university, your job is to be a student right now. So it could just be you really apply yourself and you're greatly disciplined around things like being a really good student and focused over the next while. Saturn is going to give you 2.5 years of discipline in that 10th house, whether your thing in the world is studying or actually working in the world. So this is an interesting February with that stellium. And then the energy that Uranus is disrupting is your identity. It's your physical body too. I mean, like you may change your style of dressing or hairstyle and all of that. That could be a theme that's going to happen it's been there. Saturn's been there since 2019 for you Tauruses, but changing up your identity. But also during this year, that Saturn square Uranus 3 times, and this is the first one in February around the 17th, give or take a few days, there is a call at that time to make a sudden or radical departure from an assumed identity. So how you think you really are, what you think you are, who you are. And you could have a big reveal. You could have like, oh my God, an insight like, oh my God, I'm really this, or oh my God, I could be really good at that. If you're someone looking for purpose in career and you're not sure, you could have a blinding insight, because Uranus can like download through the pineal gland, revelations, ideas and insights. You may have a dramatic departure in how you decide to appear in the world as well. Like, as I said, change your hair, change your style, change your appearance in some way. All right, that's it. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Look at this now. This is you guys having a huge Dharma story. The house, one of the Dharma houses, one's true purpose, God, truth, religion, wisdom, knowledge, justice. Courts are up here. If you have a court case and you've got a stellium up here and you got Jupiter up there as well, serving Saturn, some of you guys, some of you Geminis dealing with legal court matters could prevail and do really, really well in 2021. Well, certainly this stellium is boding well for the month of February, okay, to do really well in something like that. Now, the 9th house is higher education, universities, colleges, and it's also the soul energy, the God, truth, wisdom. It's also foreign lands, international, that kind of stuff. So those themes are prominent. The stellium's up there for some of you Geminis. The square, that it makes to Uranus is like all about the deep past life vault of your many existences. Sometimes you could say that the 12th is the house of your self-undoing. Where do you make mistakes or create patterns that don't help and serve who you are? Uranus is disrupting those patterns. He has been since 2019. That can include addictions. And so you may be letting go of some patterns and addictions in your life. Some of you Geminis, some sun, moon, and ascendants. This is a money house, but money from foreign lands, right? Or barter or trade from foreign lands. And with all that activity in the 9th house, again, there could be some success in foreign lands. Sometimes I'm seeing now that the 12th house can look like PayPal, Stripe accounts that create revenue. So some of you Gemini, sun, moon, and ascendants may have some revolutionary energy and revenue from foreign lands. And with Saturn, to discipline, hard work, and determination to take originality as well into a new inventive way for making money. So it could be also a bit about money. Certainly pay attention to your dreams around February 17th, because this is the end part of the chart that can give us the big dreams, the big reveals. Yeah. You may have to deal with a mother or a female figure with the moon so close during this time. The moon will be going through Taurus. So a mother figure or a mother could be very much in your story, Geminis, during the month of February, but certainly more closer to the 17th of February, give or take a day on either side, where mom issues or mom stuff is really front and center for you. Okay. All right. This is you guys, the Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, especially Ascendant. This is going to activate a big chunk of your money stuff. The stellium that hasn't been together since 1962 is in the house of wealth for you. Money that you accrue through inheritances, spousal money, grants and loans, investment income, sometimes selling a property, and also money that comes from, I don't know, I've seen it look like weird things, like a tax rebate all of a sudden or whatever, or leveraging, getting a bank loan, credit cards and stuff like that. So leveraging other people's money, really. So there's a lot of intensity in this part of the chart, your 401k plan. I don't know. There's a lot of intensity here for you guys around February 17th, maybe 3 days before, especially, and a couple of days after. What I would say, whatever's going on here is a story that prevails through 21 to reorganize your wealth story. If you're an occultist into magic or mystery or alchemy or archetypes and psychology, this house is relevant. Also, it's a house of secrets. Things could really pop, especially with Mercury retrograde. Something from the past that was hidden from you can be revealed to you during this time. Mercury's getting ready to station direct on the 21st. That's probably when a secret might pop, like, this is like taboo topics too, but like infidelity, abuse, sexual abuse, what could pop here, like into the open, is getting ready to pop. Also, the energy of Uranus is coming from the house of belonging, community, hopes, dreams, and wishes, and sometimes windfalls, but often it's more like great financial gains that come from the work you're doing in the world, the 10th house energy. So if you're doing some work you really like, you could have a money breakthrough, a big promotion, a buyout, an up leveling financially through your work. So some of you Cancer ascendant, sun, and moon may have some good money bonuses around February 17th. And then don't forget, that's generally a story going on about money. These are money energies, 11th and 8th. Partly there's other meanings as well, but this is one of the ways to see money, great gains from a career. And this is also the other way to see money, leveraging other people's money, or gaining or benefiting from other people's money. So something's going on in mid-February that repeats throughout 2021 to radically revolutionize, change, and reinvent the way money looks, but also belonging, community, and your hopes, dreams, and wishes. Leo, sun, moon, and ascendant. This energetic stellium, the assembly of planets, the grand council powwowing with the sun is happening in your seventh house. And it is a house of marriage, business partnerships, others, the main others you engage with. Sometimes your clients, if you see a lot of them and you're a regular one-on-one person, you know, me with my clients, you know. So you guys are my seventh house people, my clients. So there's a huge stellium here. So there's a huge regeneration and replanting of new directions, because of course that stellium involved planets rebirthing in the heart of the sun. Those planets that got reborn were Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. And you can see that as well. Eventually Venus will make it to the sun in March and she'll rebirth as well. So this is going to be pretty cool. She'll rebirth in Aries down the line. So she rebirths on March the 25th. I remembered when she rebirths. So anyway, so for some of you Cancer, I mean, Leo, sun, moon, and ascendants, a lot of this energy is about relationship. How are you with your spouse? How is your marriage? Do you have one? Do you want one? Do you need one? Do you need a business partner? Are you going it alone? Is there legal affairs and contracts you need to tidy up in February? That can be seventh house engagement as well. The disruptive revolutionary energy is your career. So yeah, you got a lot going on. This is like very angular. This is the cardinal houses. What is it that you're going to change in 2021 that really begins mid-February around the career that you're on and the relationships you have, whether it's to spouse or partners or business partners or clients? And so you're going to have a sort of big gear shift here. Like this is like a big year for you, Leos, okay? This is not incidental because of this continuing Uranus Saturn dynamic in the 10th and the 7th house. And, you know, the pressure is coming from the 7th, you know, like maybe you would prioritize your relationship over your career, or maybe you revolutionize the career direction to serve the relationship, the business partnership, the others in your life. And some of you, Leo, sun and moon and ascendants, may be dealing with lunar issues too that come to the fore. This is about your mother or your role as a mother. This is the mother energy. So how does that play in you, Leos? This question of mother or motherhood or mothering or self-nurturance, how does it play into this revolution of career and your marriage partnerships or business partnerships or relationship to clients in 21? Question mark, because you'll see by the end of this year, but begins in February. All right. Virgo, sun, moon, and ascendant. This is energy that's all constellated in the house of work, the house of service, the house of karmic debt, the house of your can be a right livelihood. It's got a dharma quality to it. And what are you doing here with all these rebirthing planets? And reminding you, get visible only after Saturn, after about the 11th or 12th of February, and then 18th or so for Jupiter when action really gets going. But it looks to me like some of you Virgo, sun, moon, and ascendants are changing your work or wanting to change the work you do. And this is like the routines and structures of focus. This is a busy house. I could say for a lot of you Virgos, you might be overwhelmed with the work. There's a lot of work happening here. Like work might be like busy, you know, whatever work is, or there's a whole cast of characters all of a sudden in the work story. Now, you could also find, Virgos, that this is going to be a longer term story about looking at the Dharma picture. Again, the ninth house is Dharma. It's literally foreign lands, God, truth, wisdom, soul, knowledge, religion. It can be involved in higher education. Some of you Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, my daughter's a Virgo rising, a university student, may reorganize and revolutionize the story of the studies you're doing or the focus of your studies to align better with work or right livelihood. Like maybe you'll drop courses and pick up ones that actually interest you and that have something to do with what you'd actually want to do as a job in this world or career. So there's that rearrangement. But I want to say it's this idea of purpose that really is coming up for a lot of Virgo, sun, moon, and ascendants. I mean, working hard without a sense of right livelihood or purpose could be a question mark that gets answered in 2021. So some of you Virgos are going to change the work you do in the world quite significantly by the end of this year. Uranus wants to revolutionize things in the ninth house, and that's also foreign lands. Will some of you want to move to a foreign land? Will there be relocations then? Or will there be trips that are really vital and important to you and that put you in a greater alignment with purpose because you have journeyed to foreign lands? Maybe. Guides, mentors, spiritual counsel is ninth house. Uranus could bring some of that into your life, where you find a guide, a spiritual leader type person to support you. I mean, Saturn himself can be sage-like, you know, wise woman, wise man of the mountain, especially in his home sign of Aquarius. So he's pressuring this Dharma house. A very wacky, eclectic, unusual, inventive spiritual mentor could come in to help you with defining what your work is or your true purpose is in this life. All right. This is a house of health protocols. I almost forgot. You're definitely going to improve your health. Okay. A lot of you Virgos may just be slack about it, you know, like, oh yeah, I'll do what I want to do. But I don't think so. Not much longer. You know, Hygeia, the goddess of health and healing, is in the house of past lives and self-undoing, radically trying to transform your own addictions and habits as well. And then this is how you do your protocols for better health. You know, what do? Do you exercise? Do you do, push-ups? Do you do, I was telling my girlfriend who's a Virgo rising, I'm in her house now, about Peloton, the app, and she thinks she might get it. So what protocols for wellness are you engaged in? On February 8th, 17th, 18th, of course, when there's this acute energy, you might have a bolt of insight or a new direction around better health protocols. Okay. And if it's from the ninth house, it could be a foreign land protocol. Like, you know, if you're a Westerner, suddenly you discover the power of acupuncture or Qigong or Ayurvedic medicine or something. All right. Libra, sun, moon, and ascendant. This happens to be a story of the assembly of planets in the house of romantic love and your children and pregnancy and childbirth and independent business enterprise and generative, news-driven, inspired areas. Now, this is the house of play and inspiration and sexuality. And now the stellium is all gathered there to talk, including Venus, the goddess of love herself, pleasure, play, and fun. So romance. So I'm feeling for some of you, Libra, sun, moon, and ascendants, there's a budding romantic thing. And if you're already a Libra and you're in a romantic relationship, it could definitely be kicking off to a new level somehow in February. The bigger narrative with Uranus, however, squaring the Saturn piece of the fifth house is, first of all, Saturn is in your fifth house, you Libras, for 2.5 years until summer, I think, of 23. So hard work around the hard work of having fun, the hard work of being creative, the hard work of being, it is independent business enterprise too, the hard work of being an independent business person, the hard work of love, romantic love isn't always easy. So you really kind of dig in and put some harder work into it maybe. But that aside, it's the Iranian square of 21 that keeps playing out over and over again. And this is a money axis. 8 and 5 are finance houses as well. So Venus could trigger a new opportunity, a new financial direction for you in February, particularly close to the 17th, maybe get a promise of some kind for a new job or a new direction in your money or in your work. And then Uranus is kind of up leveling and you're disrupting the way you think you have to benefit from money. So in other words, Uranus could give you sudden jolts of extra money through your spouse or your beloved, sudden jolts of extra money that you didn't see coming through inheritances or through tax rebates that people owe you money you didn't know. So you got some kind of unexpected money essence going on until 2026. And then this year, with the Saturn applying a square to Uranus, money that's fifth house source, romance, children, childbirth, fun, play, pleasure, amuse, inspiration, and creativity. You could generate a new business idea that takes off. That's an example. Saturn and Aquarius in the fifth house. And this year, the 3 times of Uranus squaring Saturn are the 3 occasions in which you work on that. So it's going to be, February, the summer, and the fall, basically. It's a longer narrative. Anything else I want to say? No, have fun. Like, it's hard to have fun with Saturn in your fifth house. You probably worked too hard already, and now you're working harder even so. Don't. Be inspired, be muse-filled, be driven by the vital force of joy and enlivenment, because that's what that fifth house is asking you to do. And yes, the stellium isn't there all year long, but certainly Jupiter's there most of 2021. Be careful for pregnancy. Some of you Libra, sun, moon, and ascendants could get pregnant or get someone else pregnant. Jupiter in the fifth house, classic, god of philandering fertility in ancient mythology. I've watched over and over again that this can often incite an unwanted or surprise pregnancy. So be cautious. Otherwise, if you want a baby, that's just fantastic. Why not? Especially with the moon involved, right? Ruling like lunar issues like motherhood and Uranus in mid-February. Just keep that birth control going if that's not what you're looking for. And if you're a male, this is your partner, right? You might, fertility in your house of children is your partner's house of children too, right? So it doesn't matter if you don't have a womb. Scorpio, sun, moon, and ascendant. This is an activation of a council of gods in the fourth house of home. What is home for you guys, Scorpios? Where do you really reside? What's the depth of where you want to live? Now, your ancestral line and family of origin is the fourth house. So possibly you're reorienting towards your life stories that your parents taught you, ditching what you want, keeping the rest. But also, you know, technically, it literally means where you live. And sometimes it's your city or apartment. Sometimes it can mean the homeland. And I wonder if this stellium is not applying some kind of pressure to change your home. Now, this is a story of 2021. Jupiter will spend 21 in your house of home, fortifying it. You got home luck, right? Luck at home, lucky breaks from home, lucky things to do with your home, real estate, growth, selling, expansion, buying homes, whatever. So those themes are really prevalent in the year. On February the 17th, the actual story that I'm looking at, though, is the Uranian square. So that Uranian square on the 16th, 17th, 18th kind of vibe, it's going to tell you something very specific and very clearly about how does my home connect to my marriage, or how does my home and my business partners and my clients intertwine. Well, you could have worked in a real office and now you decide, for now that you've done pandemic work, you're never going back to the office. You're always going to work from home. Then you can spend more time with your partners and your business partners and your beloved, etc. Your business partners or your marriage partner can incite a revolution or an unexpected change in the home by virtue of something that they're up to as well. When Mercury goes direct on like the 21st, any thing that was any negotiations around home, like say you're selling or buying or thinking of moving, you could be back in negotiations, redoing something, like, or you had an offer in your home and then it fell apart. Now someone's making an offer again in the first weeks of February. And then after February 21st, you have directionality and Mercury begins to move things forward. Mercury rules marketing, merchandising, and selling, and he's in the fourth house of home. So you possibly are selling a home during this February, or the idea or plan to sell it is incited, and then in the summer and the fall it's executed when Saturn squares Uranus again and again. I wouldn't be surprised a lot of you Scorpio, sun, moon, and ascendants a year from now are no longer living in the home you currently live in. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and ascendant, this energetic compilation of planets, the stellium of powerhouses is in your third house of siblings, this third house of your neighborhood, of self-expression, especially writing, of selling and marketing things, merchandising, of sometimes teaching and educating. It's definitely about self-expression. It's also really a house of trips and travel, but we're not doing that with this pandemic, are we? But possibly, even though there is a pandemic, you may be engaging in mid-February in a trip. It could just be a short trip, right? Domestic or local. So pay attention to any travel you undertake then. It could be quite important in a way you don't understand yet. Saturn is squaring Uranus in the house of livelihood, work, and work routines and health. A trip could change your health protocols. A trip could change your work routines. A trip could change your direction of your work. Or health. And also remember that Uranus is betraying Sagittarius to revolutionize the work story. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and ascendants, you've been under a lot of energy of disruptive qualities in the work since 2019 with Uranus there. And now, you know, that's not going away. So it's like, you know, Uranus is going to continually try to revolutionize and change the work story for you. And I don't know when that will all be done. I mean, it may be a series of punctuated changes, but it does mean that you're changing work one way or the other. And he does rule the internet. So making the work more on the internet could just be what I'm seeing here. Very literal interpretation, you know. Some of you, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and ascendants may be dealing with your mother in the house of health, a health issue with your mom, escalating suddenly in the time I'm talking about around the middle of February, this 17th, especially 16th, 17th. Don't look at my calendar, I'm just progressing the wheel. So 16th, 17th, 18th, mom stuff, mom's health. Capricorn, sun, moon, and ascendant, you're all about the money. The stellium is trying to find new sources of income for you, new sources of hustle, new sources of revenue. Sort of also looking at it as a house of your voice and vocation. You may also be reorienting some vocational directions as well. Now, this stellium is going to be a part of a bigger story, right? Jupiter's in your money house all through 21, minus a dip into Pisces in May, June, and July. So you're really thinking about lucky money breaks or expanding your revenue or expanding your money story in 21 for sure with Jupiter's help. But Saturn makes it practical, reliable, focused, disciplined, realistic changes in the money story. All right. Not fantastical and far out. And certainly it looks to me like you do hard work to create new money sources over the next 2.5 years. But this year is a very good groundbreaking year. Now, for a lot of you Capricorn people, then the pressures from the house of romance, children, and independent business enterprise, like having your own business and being inspired and having fun. Now, Uranus wants to disrupt energies here. So watch out for unexpected pregnancies, whether you're male or female, if you're in a partnership. Watch out for, kind of radical, unexpected bursts of change in something you think is going to work, like your own business. It doesn't mean it's not going to, it just means things are being changed up. Really watch for unexpected pregnancies for some of you, please, Capricorns, because of the moon co-present in the house of the womb of the chart, the fertility zone of pregnancy and childbirth. So be careful in the middle of February around birth control. I think I keep saying that for people, but for you guys, it's definitely relevant. All right. Anything else? Nope. Aquarius. Yay, here we go. I'm Aquarius rising, sun, moon, and ascendant. Wow, we got to really watch for this one. This is intense. Like I was in my mom's womb, so I don't remember this stellium, but I was incubating in her womb during this time. So I was born like shortly after the stellium was happening. So for some of us, this Aquarian energy that we're experiencing as Aquarius risings has been really intense, right? I mean, I feel it. I'm really restless. I'm restless. I'm not sleeping as well as I normally do. It's in the house of our body. It's in the house of our identity. Now, what happens is Jupiter is here for a whole year. So we might get a little chubby, put a little weight on, but we're also going to be much more healthy and vital than we've been in a long time. So this is a good year for Aquarius risings in their physical fitness and health and well-being. Now, also, Saturn is there for 2.5 years. So we're going to work really hard on being ourselves. We're going to be, being really true with hard work to who we really are. Bringing sort of sage-like authority and wisdom to our identity is a possibility over the next 1.5 years. Now, technically, Saturn can suppress some of our vital force, but that probably doesn't show up until 2022 because really it's Jupiter's game in 21. Also, Saturn is going to square Uranus in the 4th house of home. This is a change of residence. I live in Montreal. I'm expecting a change of residence in 21 because 3 times throughout the year, Saturn and Uranus, hit that square. And it definitely looks like relocation. Now, some of you may not relocate. Obviously, you have changes in your home. You add an addition, you build a studio, you expand the property, you radically change the layout of the house. I don't know, changes around the home. Now, the 4th house is the house of your family of origin, ancestral line, and patterns that you might have unconsciously absorbed from your family. I think that in February, given that the moon is here, and if your mom is alive, there could be disruption with your mom or the mom in the home story. But in general, you could also be looking at mother stories in the ancestral line or the maternal line that get activated middle of February and is asking for radical release or reinvention. Also the 4th house is like kind of like the root of the chart. It is like the metaphorical anchor or the root or the deep depths of the chart from which the high noon will rise. So, Uranus is not just saying, let's move our home. Yes, I did move my home as soon as Uranus entered in there in 2019. I moved to Montreal, but because Uranus is asking us to actually say, what does home mean? Like, what does it mean to be at home deeply within the root of who you are? And sometimes that out pictures is changing where we live so that where we live fits who we are. So it's like, not either or, it's and, you know. So Aquarius are relocating left and right. I know a lot of Aquarian relocators, but this is a time in February where the question of home and living and where you want to live is a big question mark, and a big answer will be coming forth in 2021 for sure. Okay, that's it. Pisces, sun, moon, and ascendant. The story is all about the deep layers beneath the surface. The stellium of planets, assembly of gods is happening in your 12th house of past lives, the collective unconscious, the deep hidden realms. There's also a sense here that this is a house where patterns exist that you may not be conscious of and unable to witness or see about your identity. So patterns of self-undoing, addictions, and habits that no longer serve you are likely to be ejected this year, because Saturn is coming in there to house clean. And technically Saturn for 2 years, 2.5 years there, it's a very much a hermit transit. Solitude, solace, aloneness, contemplation, introspection, completion, and finishing of things. And this year Jupiter is there, so it's more exciting and buoyant, but you might learn things or get spiritual guidance or teachers or gurus type thing guiding you. And you may learn very practical things with Jupiter and Aquarius that you can use, but the deeper layer is of that learning could be very soulful. You're also, you know, it's kind of like a karmic house cleaning anyway, with Saturn there for 2.5 years. So this year is that karmic house cleaning with Jupiter's beneficence helping out. But Saturn squares Uranus 3 times, and the first one is February 17th. And Uranus is sitting in the house of short trips and travel, the house of self-expression, like writing, especially writing, the house of learning skills, like I want to learn how to read the Lenormand Tarot or something. And it is the third house of social media things, like platforms like Facebook. People argue about this all the time, but I keep seeing this playing out my client's chart as Facebook, Pinterest, blah, 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 the platforms of self-expression. The collective communities are the 11th. Like, yes, I have a 5,000 Facebook friends, but I do that on the platform, the third house, Facebook. So changing up the guard in your social media life, if you have one, Pisces. It's this house of your siblings. Some of you Pisces ascendants are going to have some breakthroughs or breakdowns to breakthroughs or disruptive energy with a sibling around maybe February 17th. But if it happens, it will happen again. It's an ongoing story for 2021. Sibling breakthroughs, okay? Short trips and travel to see siblings arriving unexpectedly. And also sometimes the third house predates a move, like activation of the third house predates a relocation. So possibly stimulation of this house in 2021 could relocate some of you Pisces, sun, moon, and ascendants in 2022. All right, that's it. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe and share. Hit the bell for notifications. You guys know the drill. I should always forget to remind you, but I will next time. And please check out my sales below, especially the year ahead, all signs. I think you're going to love them. And wow, get ready, get set, go. Here comes February. Oh my God. Here comes February. Get set, get ready, and go. I'm kind of overwhelmed because it's all in my first house. So please hang in there with me. My sleep has been hugely disrupted, and I feel like I look like I don't sleep right now. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Mwah.